you wonderful creatures, I am back again with another video. If you don't know who I am, my name is Bea. I am here to educate people on things that you should get taught in school, but you don't. If you want to see the first part of that sort of mini-series, it will be in the description box below. My camera is way too zoomed in. There we go. I'm planning on doing another part to that video at some point soon, but I have a lot of ideas buzzing around my head right now, and I'm sort of trying really hard not to sit in front of my camera and bitch too much. With that being said, I am in the mood today to talk about some things that you all need to stop doing. Today we're going to talk about this again. As I've already said before, I have a lot of things in my mind that you all need to stop doing, so I'm going to keep making these videos until I run out of ideas. If you guys have anything that annoys you, like it's kind of like miniature pet peeves, let me know by DMing me on Instagram, DMing me on Twitter, they'll be down here somewhere so that you can do that. By all means, I will happily speak on your behalf. But today, I want to talk about what is going on with my camera today. I want to talk about a few things that are, Okay, I'm going to speak from a kid's point of view, directed at parent, because there are many things on the internet and in books and all that kind of stuff that tell you how to parent your kids. And I don't personally think that there is one set path, one set way to parent your children. It's all down to culture, personal preference, the type of child that you have in general. However, there are many things that parents do that they probably shouldn't do because it's quite damaging to children, and I don't actually think that some people realise how damaging it is to children, and I want to kind of talk about it because I think this is quite important, and I'm at no point trying to tell people how to parent their children. If you do some of these things and you think that it's a good idea, I don't agree with you, but you're entitled to your own opinion. These are just my opinions. As always, if you don't care about my opinion, click off the video now. I'm not gonna be offended by that. Things that you all need to stop doing. Number one, comparing your kids to other children. So specifically talking about myself here, I know that when I was at school, if I had a test or an essay or something that I would get marked on, I came home from school and told my mum like, oh, I got an A, or oh, I got a C, or I got a B. She would immediately say to me, what did everybody else in the class get? And I don't personally think that matters. I think it's damaging because you're teaching your kids to compare themselves to other people, and I don't think that's healthy at all. I think that if a lot of people, when I was a kid, taught me not to compare myself to other people, and a lot of my friends, if they taught my friends not to compare themselves to other people, we would all be so much happier. Like, I compare myself to people that aren't even like on the same playing ground. Like, I'm friends with someone that is in uni at the moment, and I'm like, I wish I could be a lawyer. And really, I don't. There's a reason I didn't go to uni, it's because I didn't want to bloody go. However, I tell myself that she's so much further in life than I am, but I'm comparing two very different people to very different things. I had a friend who literally got so annoyed with me in our final year of school because we got there on results day and she opened her results and she didn't do as well as she thought she would, and I did a lot better than myself and all my teachers thought I would. And she said, God, only you could only turn up to school 23% of the time and still come out of school with decent grades. But when you tell your kids how did everybody else in the class do, they immediately, one, feel bad about how they did. If they didn't do as well as everybody else did, they already feel bad enough. Like, as if they weren't already feeling like, oh, I probably could have done better there. But at the same time, you're saying to them like, okay, well, you're not as good as everybody else in the class, so why is that? And that's not okay. You are damaging your children doing this. I cannot put it any other way. You are damaging your children. Don't do that. Like, you should just say, okay, well, did you do your best? And that's all you need to say. If they say no, then obviously you need to have a conversation as to why they haven't. But if they say yes, then you go, okay, great, I'm proud of you. That's it, because their best may actually be a B. That's it. Their best may be a C, their best may be an A star, but that doesn't mean they're any less likely to do anything in life. There's just no need. Just stop it. Just stop doing it. Two, I know that when I was a child, my mum didn't let me and my brother play video games. We didn't have a games console until, I think, 2006? I think. I definitely didn't have a games console until I hit secondary school, like 100%. I didn't have, and we got a Wii. It wasn't even like an Xbox or a PS or a PlayStation or anything like that. It was a Wii. And even then we didn't play on it that much. But my dad, my biological dad, all the time. Like anytime I was at my dad's house, he'd just stick us in front of the TV and he'd be like, play with that. But my mum didn't let us. She was like, go outside, read a book, go and play in the street with your friends. As I've said to you guys before, I'm a very clumsy person. So the amount of times that I'd fall off things and I'd scuff up my knee or I'd graze my arm or something like that, it was so much better than watching all of these kids sit at home and have no social skills whatsoever, because their parents have let them play on PlayStations and Xboxes and iPads and tablets and all this crap before they really need to. And I personally think that technology is completely destroying childhoods these days enough. Therefore, please do not be that parent that just puts a laptop in front of their kids and is like, okay, play with that, because you can't be asked. If you can't be asked to spend time with your kids, then why did you have kids? Quite honestly, like, what was the point? You may as well have not bothered, because you're damaging them anyway. It does frustrate me, and like when me and my family went out for like dinner, we'd all sit there and talk. Fair enough, me and my brother would talk about stupid stuff that my mum probably didn't even care about. Like, we'd talk about Finding Nemo and the Tweenies and the Teletubbies and all that kind of stuff. And like, yeah, she probably was not even remotely interested, but we still sat there and talked to each other. We talked about things. Whereas these days I go out, and as I've said to you guys before, I was a waitress. I was a waitress for the best part of 4 years of my life. And the amount of kids that I saw that would sit at a table and no one would be talking to each other. They'd all be sat there on their Nintendos or their, I don't know what they even are, their Nintendo DS's or their tablets or their mum's phones or their dad's phones, because it's easier and it keeps them quiet. And like, yes, I have complained enough about how irresponsible parents are when it comes to some children, well, some parents are when it comes to their kids in public and when it comes to their kids in restaurants. But if you just taught your kids basic table manners, you'd be so much better off. Even like, not even necessarily kids, even like fully grown people. Like, I remember there was two couples and they were obviously on a double date, and they consistently, the only time they spoke to each other or anyone else in the restaurant was when I went over to ask for their order. And at that point, all they really said was what they wanted, and then they asked like, oh, what did you want? Are you good? Are you ready to order? Are you good? The rest of the time, they were sat there on their phones. They were texting people, Instagramming people, tweeting it, Facebooking it, Instagramming it. I can't. Like, social media for one is not social, but that's a whole other video. But please teach your kids that there is a life outside of these things. There's just no need for it. Like, honestly, just let them go outside. I know that the world is a terrifying place, and I know that as a parent you're probably terrified of anything happening to your child that is a lot worse than them falling off of their bike and scraping their knee. I know that. But it's so much better. They're so much better off if they're outside playing in the street and they're drawing chalk on the pavements and they're riding their bikes. Honestly, some of the best times of my childhood were when I was just outside in the sun. I would just disappear on my bike for an hour, come back, mum would be like, where the hell have you been? I'm like, I'm really sorry, mum. But it was so much fun and it was great, and I miss it. But I feel so bad for these poor kids that are basically being robbed of their childhood by all this social media and games consoles and Angry Birds and Flappy Birds, and I can't with it. Like, teach your kids to talk to people. Stop giving them other implements, other technology, just to make them quiet for an hour. Like, there's just no need for it. Anyway, I got very irate during that one, but we'll move on. 3, talking and not listening. So, I think every teenager that watches me, and every adult that watches me, and obviously used to be a teenager, can probably say that at some point or another, they have said to their parents, God, you never listened to me! And that, I think, is just teenage culture. We always continuously say, you never listened to me, all this kind of stuff. And even when we tell you that you're not listening to us, you are still not listening to us. Because if you were, then you would listen more. I can't even count the amount of times that my mum would have a conversation with me and I'd be sat there and I'm like, I've already told you this before, or I've had this conversation with you already, or you're not listening to me when I tell you these things. And like, it can be very stupid little things, like, let's say that you agreed with your mum that she's gonna pick you up from this house party at 11 o'clock. and then she gets there at 10. You're already annoyed because you're like, I told you to pick me up at 11, you never listened to me. So it can be really minor things like that, or it can be really big things, like when I say to my mum, I've told you so many times, I have an eating disorder, I have a mental health disorder, I may not have been diagnosed, but we can all agree there's something wrong with me. She'll say to me, like, I'll go a day without wanting to eat anything, and she'll get really frustrated with me, and she'll be really annoyed with me, and I'm like, I've told you so many times, you just don't listen to me when I say to you, I have an eating disorder, mum, I don't want to eat sometimes, and sometimes you can't stop me from not eating. I'm 21 years old now, I can make my own damn choices. It's so important for you guys to listen to your kids, because when you don't listen to them, I can guarantee you, one, they will be completely rebellious once they get to their difficult years, which anybody that doesn't know, boys' difficult years normally are like 15 to 17. Those are the years where you're just kind of like, God, you're annoying. Girls, our difficult years are pretty much when we get our first period up until like 18. Up until we are legally adults and we can finally say, I'm an adult, I can do what I want, I'm moving out now, mum, I'll see you later, bye. We are nightmares. I'm not even ashamed to say that I put my mum through hell during my teenage years. Once we get to those rebellious points in our lives, which I think everybody will rebel in some capacity or another, we need to be able to talk to you and know that you're gonna listen to us, because we'll do a whole other video on this, I think. But there are many things that I did in my teenage years that I'm not necessarily ashamed of, but I wish they hadn't happened. I don't necessarily regret them, they've made me the person I am today, but if I could go back, I'd probably say, like, think twice about this, and if you still want to do it, then fine, but think twice about it. And I know that if I knew that I could talk to mum about anything, I would have been fine. I know that if I could have sat my mum down and said, Mum, I'm worried about this, or Mum, I've done this, what should I do, or Mum, I'm being pressured into doing this, or Mum, everybody's expecting me to do this and I don't know what to do. You should be able to have those conversations with your kid, and more importantly, your child should feel as though they can have those conversations with you, because it's taken me and my mum a very long time to get to the point where we are now, where we actually talk to each other. But it's so important to have that relationship between your two kids, and I'm not trying to tell you how to parent them, I'm just saying it's important. Anyway, that is the end of the video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, let me know. I will continue to do these videos until I do run out of ideas, like genuinely I have so many. Please subscribe to me, put on the post notifications so you never miss a post. I post on Tuesdays and Fridays. I've already told you about my Twitter and Instagram, but I'll tell you again, they'll be down here and they'll be in the description box below as always. I will be here until you tell me not to be, and probably still out of it anyway. Have a great week, guys.